Hello. Ooh, let me fix my top. All right. Petey and I are back. We're in Halloween mode already. See, we have some pumpkins behind us. And welcome. I'm excited to see you guys. Remember to like and subscribe if you're in here. I am, whoa, Pete, how rude. He likes to do that. I'm bringing to you today an interview between detectives and Stephan Sterns' parents. So this is the guy in the case of Madeline Soto, and these parents consented to this interview, and it was a few hours long. I'm only going to do the first half of it tonight, and they spilled. Oh my gosh, did they spill all? So really fascinating. We've all been speculating what's going on with this guy, what's going on in this case, why would anybody act in such a way? And here we have all the background information of everything people have been possibly wondering. So let's take a look. We got it from the interview room. So doing a reaction video from that. Go on over there, give them a subscribe and a like. They have good videos, podcasts, and footage. So without more ado, I'm going to put it up. I put up some pictures for you in the first half of it, and then I ran out of time. So we'll have something to look at, and then I'll worry about what we look at in the second half later. He's doing his feathers for you. Isn't that nice? Yeah. Hi, Pete. We love you. Oh, kisses and bites. Okay, here we go.
There we go, that's better.
All right, this guy right here is Chris Sterns. He's the dad. And there's been a lot of talk about how the parents really baby and kind of their son is just too precious given what he did. And again, we're going to see exactly what and how, but they do flip and tell everything about him very quickly for loving parents. But I think they're probably trying to make meaning and make sense of what's going on.
That thing will blow. All right, I'm going to turn my phone off.
The bogus movie today.
I may fix a cup of coffee.
Maddie. Dad,
Always
you guys
thirsty.
following the case?
We're both on diets.
Whoa, it goes by
I'm
fast,
taking,
sorry.
She's
I know.
taking Ozempic, I'm taking Mounjaro. And I've lost nearly 40 pounds.
Wow.
28.
And but I just have to keep hydrated all the time. I'm just always thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for meeting with us this morning.
Our pleasure.
This has been a long few days, long week, and I can imagine what it is for you guys.
Full of lots of surprises.
Yeah.
We're in the 7th ring of hell.
So the reason we made the trip down here today is I know you spoke to Alex,
So
I think.
rude, sorry.
Yeah, with Orange County, and May have spoke to Corporal Ilgen that works with us.
Is he this tall, slim guy?
Lighting something.
No,
Was he
he's
at Orange County also?
he was. I think you may have talked to him out in the parking lot in
Yeah.
Orange County.
Yeah.
Bald guy, probably wearing a SWAT shirt.
No, that didn't work. That didn't. There was somebody else I thought was from Kissimmee PD, but and I thought actually you were him, but obviously not.
Okay, so they're
So-
just exchanging niceties.
Appreciate it. But since I'm the lead detective and he's my partner in the case, we kind of want to get eyes and talk to everybody that's involved. That's the
I
only
really
reason.
expected you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like the parents maybe talked to someone
so-
else before.
The reason we're here is basically try to get a background of what you know about Stephan and Jennifer's relationship and that sort of thing and stuff like that. So we can do it one of two ways. I can just give you guys the floor and you can let us know what their dynamic was, or I could do it question and answer wise, whatever's more comfortable for you.
Well, if you do it question and answer wise, you'll get the answers that you wanted. If you let us sit here and ramble on for half an hour, you may not get what you want. You still have to ask the question.
Fair enough for me.
We can fill in the gap.
Any idea how long Stephan and Jen have been?
All right. Well, we've got the first snap of Deb Sterns' attitude. Well, if you let us just talk for fair enough, like he says, she's right.
In a relationship?
7 years.
7 years.
7 to 8 years, somewhere in there.
Okay. And was it constant throughout those 7 and 8 years, or on and off, or?
They were friends first.
We're looking
Close
at the
friends first,
crap that
and
was
then
in
it
Stephan's
evolved
car.
into a romantic relationship. I think probably the first 18 months was just friendship, and then it changed from there. And no, we did not like the relationship.
Sounds kind of
Why
low.
not?
Sorry about that.
Didn't approve of it.
No.
Why
She was
is
a
that?
bad influence on it because of her, uh,
Drugs.
well, drugs plus
Feels like it's going by kind of maybe because of pictures. But they just said very, very deliberately, they did not approve of Stefan's relationship with Jennifer because she was a bad influence on him. That is a ballsy thing to say about the woman whose daughter your son ended. Wow, let's try saying that 3 times fast. But you see what I'm saying? The mother of the murderer, right? The father of the murderer. It's ballsy for them to say the girlfriend, the mother of the victim, was a bad influence. That's they must have been hellish in-laws, I'm sure. In-laws, quote unquote. But this is not. They're not idyllic, and they feel quite justified about it.
I think she was taking medications for depression, anxiety, what have you, and I just didn't feel that
Oh no! Sorry, remove the phone.
influence for her.
She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She had a young child.
Whoa, she's brutal. Deb Sterns, tell us what you really think. She's bipolar. She's bisexual. She's a drug addict. She's bimodal, is what I think so far. Very audacious, says Tipton Mama. Yeah, let's just say audacious. That's being nice. Okay, sorry, I took off my social scientist hat for a minute and put on my what the F hat. But that's why I love doing these with you guys, because I can be salty. I can take off my professional hat for a moment, to the extent that it's appropriate, and sit down and say, what the F with you?
Family was disapproving, and she was sharing those drugs with Stephan. And I don't approve of vaping.
Yes,
We
she
don't
is
do
so
any drugs. We
inappropriate
don't even
compared to
drink.
him. Like,
I can't even take.
I'm no Jen Soto fan. You all know that. But she's roses and wines compared to him. She's not the one being charged with murder, right?
Specified medication for pain because my body rejects them, and I get really, really sick from them. So, I mean,
Oh, she's one of those.
open heart surgery on Tylenol.
I don't take my prescription, so how you dare you take yours? I know that type.
Wow.
So here's
So
Jen,
it's,
openly bipolar. She struggles with health.
And they were
She's
both,
not-
She's mad.
they
We're
slept
just
all
gonna
the
look at
time.
her.
Yeah.
And we had a hard enough time dealing with Stephan sleeping all the time, and now he's got a relationship with somebody else that does it as well. It's just like they were feeding off of each other, and none of it in a positive way. And that's why I disapprove. I've disapproved of a lot of Stephan's
Well, that's the only
people.
thing. Yeah, only thing her.
I have a feeling that Chris Stearns has been following Deb Sterns' audacious, snappy comments with a softened, more civilized version for 20-something years. He does it without even blinking, right? Without even blinking.
Mother and I approved of together was the fact that we didn't approve of the relationship, because if Jen started spiraling down when her holes of depression, she took steps.
Because she loves the word approved. The only thing that Jen's parents and her both approved of was that they didn't approve. Can I just go off on a tangent for a minute, as if this whole thing isn't a tangent with you, my friends, and say, I don't approve of people who go out of their way to approve or disapprove of things. I mean, who made them the official approver? So pious.
And with him. If he was depressed, he brought her in, and it was just always like a balancing act.
Yeah, that's
Those two.
valid.
This is not good. It's not a good dynamic.
When you said they were always sleeping, like constantly,
Yeah.
were they taking medicine to go sleeping, or they were just?
They would fake out.
Yeah.
She just said they were
Stephan
yeah.
has a sleeping disorder, sleep apnea, so
I'm out of water.
he's been tested for it, and his he would be up all night and sleep all day,
Okay.
type of deal. And we really didn't have that much physical interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that we just observed from a distance, and trying to talk to Stephan at times, but we just really
I am
didn't have.
I am 100% certain that being an insomniac does not make one homicidal. I'm just saying, 100% certain.
Any social activity with them to speak of.
When Stephan would be here in town, like what would his routine be? Would he just, is he a homebody, or
As we talked about
He
that.
locked himself in his room, and we would see him maybe once in a while, tell him dinner's ready, but he was constantly in his room all the time.
He was painting his little minis for Warhammer.
Yeah, he's
He
obsessed
spent a
with
lot
all
of
that
time
stuff.
doing that. A lot of time learning the new books as they came out. A lot of time online. He did go play Warhammer with the guys once a week. Tried to get him to go to the beach. Tried to get him to
The
go to
Warhammer's
church,
a role
tried to
play
get him to
game?
go shooting with us. No.
did he give an excuse why that he wouldn't
He
want to
just didn't
go?
feel like it.
Just no motivation.
And he walked around with Jen on the phone on.
I feel like anytime grown-ups spend most of their time playing games, that grown-up might have a developmental issue.
FaceTime all the time. I would
Or
be in the
depression
kitchen, I would
issue.
look up and I would see Jen, and she's like, oh. And I look at her and her eyes are open. I said, Jen, are you baked? And she says, oh yeah. I'm
Simply
And
because
this-
most adults wouldn't be satisfied by the pursuit of childish kind of games after a while, right? Same reason that most people pursue employment and more than the minimum. It's just human nature.
Is recently
I
or
think
throughout
that
the
was in
years?
the last few weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't. I brought him back in December because I was supporting him living there, and I didn't know that I was supporting the whole family. Again,
Yeah.
Stephan's great at omitting information and not being
That's right, I heard
transparent with
that.
me. And
Welcome,
I just
guys.
disappointed. I said I
Subscribe
can't
and
afford to have you working
like,
for
please.
Disney.
Thank you.
And there's always a deficit in his budget for one reason or another, but somehow he had expensive toys and what have you, and where the money came for that, he didn't even after he arrived here. Packages were arriving. I said, well, I'm not giving him any money. Where the hell is it? Stephan, it's money I saved, and I'm sitting here going, Bohica. You know what Bohica is? It's an acronym. Bend over, here it comes again. And, he called me up and said, well, I'm short in funds. Can you, Zelle me $150, send him that. But meanwhile, now he's telling me he's got money in savings, which I didn't believe. So where the money was coming from, I have no idea. But these packages just kept arriving.
When you would support him, how would you get him money?
I sell it.
Okay.
And I paid him, Juan charged Jen
Super detail.
rent, and then in November of 2022, the reason why I know that because I looked it up the other day. I said, how far back have I been paying rent there? But he started charging Stephan rent even though he was sharing a room with Jen. And then they decided that they weren't going to be in a relationship anymore, and he took over a full room, and now I had to pay $600. And so this just kept escalating. He wasn't taking care of his car. I was waiting for that shoe to drop. So finally I said, I can't afford you to live there anymore, and I moved him back here. And I thought, we had hoped that the year that he had spent at Disney, that he had matured and was now, accepting responsibility and had a disciplined routine, and that I could bring him back.
Okay, confirmation of a few things we know on this case. One, he was working at Disney for a year. That's on his social media, but Disney had come out and disavowed him when the whole incident broke out. And for those who want it, I don't like to go over this case in summary because it's gruesome, but this is a case of Maddie Soto, who went missing in late February of this year. And then, Grumpy, you bit me again. And then her body was found on on March 1st in Orange County, no, Osceola County, Florida. And he was first charged with 60 counts of basically possession of CSAM, and he was then later charged with I don't know if it's murder one or murder two, but I should stop saying the M word. Okay, so that's the summary of this case, and you can follow videos earlier in this series, or in one of many awesome true crime creators to catch up on all the details on it. So I don't like to go into too much gruesome detail
here and help him maybe develop into something with a better career path than working for Disney forever and not getting anywhere, because at $30,000 a year he couldn't support himself if he wanted to live on his own.
Right.
And that turned out to be a huge disappointment because he fell right back into.
So he was living there. He was sharing a room with Jen, and Chris seems to have a problem with paying part of the rent when he shares the room. That's common. Couples split rent. So she was probably only paying part of the rent. When I leased out a house, I paid the lowest rent of everybody in the house because I charged market value, but mine would just go down and down and down because the lease would be set, right? Maybe that was going on too. And so then when he moved out to, well, maybe not, because then he would know the amount. So 600 was maybe an even split. This is, after all, Osceola County, Florida. Who knows? Not a super cheap place to live, but not exactly San Diego either, where you can't get a room for 600 unless maybe you bunk with 4 people.
Do his same MO, lock himself in his room, wouldn't help us around the house, and we were like on eggshells because when he was here, it was always tension because of his sleep disorder, and the dogs obviously are not the quietest things in the world.
Right.
And they have their routine, we have our routine, so we let them out in the evening and it's chaos with them. We let them out in the morning, it's chaos, but for the most of the time, they're at feeding time, they're quiet, But again, that would disturb him, and didn't want to cause a flare up with him.
So when it would disturb.
All right. So he's living in his parents' house where they breed poodles, and he has a problem every time he wakes up. A lot of people get cranky when they're woken. I'm one of them. So I feel like I just don't have a leg to stand on to make a comment on this. But again, 0% correlation between insomnia and homicide.
Him with the dogs, was that during the daytime, or was him trying to sleep at
Probably
night?
even irritability.
Oh, okay.
If anybody comes to the door, get a package, a rat farts in the yard, doesn't matter, they hear it.
So if he's sleeping during the day and we're doing our daily routine, there's going to be distraction. If I come in the house, they're going, hey, I'm home. They'd be a lot of party.
Yeah, because he's sleeping during the day. Okay, if you're sleeping around especially if it's night, it's one thing. You work at a job. If you're sleeping all day, oh my gosh, grow up. Give me a break. Yeah, you. And I know we're a small group tonight because people are watching the debate, and I know some of our regulars are still watching the debate. I thought it'd be done by now, so I planned on purpose to start at 7:30. I guess they're going to go most of the night, so we'll do this. You guys can watch on the replay. That's cool. I'm just really grateful for those of you who are here to be spending your night with me. I know, and all of us, right? And with Pete. I know not everybody's going to be wanting to watch the debate while others are, so totally cool with that. Totally cool. Thank you for being here. Let's keep going. But we're probably not going to go forever tonight because it is a work week, and wasn't feeling great today. Missed some work this afternoon, so I want to catch up on it tomorrow.
Right.
So, but I would
I
just
don't
hope
wanna
that
get
he
behind on that.
was
Gotta
soundly
get-
sleeping and that he would just sleep through it. But occasionally you would hear him bark out from him.
Or if he had his headphones on.
Yeah.
So when you said you brought him back in December, do you remember when? First part of December, end of
I'd have to
December?
look up, it'd be early part of December because I was trying to get him.
Thanks, Joe, for bringing it back in and using the proper verbiage. Oh no, so sorry, Mama. So Tipton Mama says, I have insomnia and have never unalived anyone so far that we know. Okay, I'm just saying we haven't fully searched the deserts and forests of all the places you've lived yet, and I grew up with you. Oh, exciting. Okay, cool. I'm so glad it's over. Yeah, I couldn't do that tonight. I just could not do that tonight. They're all, to me, it's all talking heads, and it's not like I'm much different, but no, I'm pretty different actually. Okay, yeah, let's keep going.
Out of there, I thought it was the end of November. It could have been at the very end of November or the very first part of December because I didn't want to owe Juan another month's rent. I wanted them out of there.
It's gonna go to bed soon.
But did he mention if they were split up at that time or if they were still?
Well,
Yes,
they
they are. Now
were
that you say
supposed to be officially
Okay.
broken up.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever say why they broke up?
They just, well, I mean,
Yeah.
yes and
There we
no.
go.
I mean,
Come on in.
Jen told me as
Like and subscribe.
recently as last week, she didn't want him as a partner. She realized that he was not going to be a good partner, but I assume that they both recognized that they wanted to go their separate ways. And I would say that occurred
Yeah.
several months before because there was one time he mentioned he was socializing with somebody at Disney and that didn't go over well or something. She didn't like that. So
So I told him, we both told him he would never get into a healthy relationship until he got away from her because what are you gonna do? You're renting a room, you're gonna bring a new woman into your room with your ex in the next room? I mean, that's.
She makes a very good point. I think that's a fair point. But you can also feel the contempt dripping from her for Jen, who, again, I'm going to say is arguably a higher caliber person than the unaliver.
That's a,
No, barely, and maybe not if you consider in the whole, like, totality of circumstance, the fact that she was the mother and therefore had the highest responsibility to protect. Maybe not.
bad recipe.
Did this ever happen within the last 7 years? Did they break up and get back together and that sort of thing, or?
I think so.
I seem to recollect that there was, there might have been a pause in that relationship, maybe to the extent of how involved the relationship was, and maybe it became more social than more of a relationship type of thing. But again, clueless as to exactly the extent of how involved the relationship really was.
To
I
run a
always
short
thought it
stretch
was
tonight.
just good friends
Yeah.
and sex with benefit type of thing. But I don't know how committed they were to one another.
And that was going
I think he meant friends with benefits. But he said sex with benefits.
on all the way up until December.
Well, actually,
You think?
before December, because like I said, when he went into the room on his own, that basically was
That
probably
is
the
weird.
time
How do you move on? Rent a
that
room from
the
your ex?
relationship ended. So,
Do you remember when that was? You said November?
yeah, I'm going to try to. Let's see. He left in December, maybe 3 or 4 months before he pulled out of there. I think only paid 3 or 4 months of 600.
Say I love you bites me.
I'd have to look it up.
Do you know if when he came back here in December, was he ever making trips back to Kissimmee at all?
There was I think 3 occasions he went back. This last trip, with when all this stuff happened, a trip before that, and then he went back for Thanksgiving, or he was there for Thanksgiving. So
Thanksgiving and Christmas.
yeah, so he
was only
wasn't
there
invited to
3
the
times.
family events, and but he was there at that time.
Okay. I'm assuming just visiting Jen, or was he visiting other people?
He's visiting Jim.
Yeah, I wouldn't know who else he would be associated with at that time.
Okay.
I don't think he had any relationships.
Like he didn't have any friends. I don't know who else he would have met with. 37-year-old man might know people. I don't know.
Outside of Jen. Maybe I think there was a time or two he mentioned that he was going to go out with some cast members after work. But
Bear was one of
Yeah,
them.
he went to work, but he might.
But That's the only,
check in
that's the
with
only
his
time.
parents every time. Hey, welcome
Has
guys.
he ever lived in Kissimmee prior
The
to
debate was
meeting
good.
Jen?
No.
I did not
No.
go.
Okay, always here in Northport, or has he lived out
Well,
elsewhere?
we moved here
Windermere.
We moved here in May of 2020, so he was always at our home there, or he lived here then. We
Okay.
finally got him out of here, and there was an opportunity for him to go live in Kissimmee.
We finally got him out of here.
Oh,
He
with Jen
said,
is when he went to
Yeah,
Kissimmee.
yeah.
these poor parents. I
They were
feel
both
so
supposed to be
far
working at Disney
kind of
together, but
sympathetic.
she can't keep a job.
Although at the same
Do you know why?
hey, that was so mean. Though at the same time, I feel like these are the guys that enabled whenever he was, and like maybe they probably knew based on things I read in reports, which we can go over if we have time. So I only partially feel bad for them right now.
Because of the bipolar.
Well,
She
I
doesn't,
think
she
you know
doesn't-
if
she
you're a
want-
parent.
doesn't
You
wanna
might
lose
know
her-
if your child
her
is a
state
soulless.
benefits.
but depending on the type of
Not
work
full.
she had,
I
back
think I would
issues
know.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
So she
Pretty
couldn't
sure.
do physical things. And now she did have a job as a concierge that didn't require any pressure or stress on her back or something.
Mm-hmm.
But there was always something that prevented her from working. Couldn't do dog sitting or whatever job it was, it would last no more than 2 weeks. And then she
Couldn't do dog sitting.
back
And she was
crashing
gonna go to
home.
school
Probably got
for
on
nursing.
maybe
I'm
Rover or
thinking,
something
oh my
like that,
God, save the
and
world.
maybe got
Well, then she was going to
eliminated.
get
Or
into graphic
he
design.
said, "What happened
Oh,
to
yeah.
that? No, we can't."
Mm-hmm.
Dad bought her an Apple computer thinking she was going to take these classes or online, and that didn't last long either.
And you're hearing this from
From her.
Stephan?
them.
Oh, from both of them. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah. And everything that we're basically telling you is a lot of it's hearsay from what we were told. We didn't physically observe this, any of this stuff. Very, very little interaction with them. And when they were here, you know,
That's
they were
cute that
either in
Chris Sterns
Stephan's
does
room.
it too. So
Maddie always slept with Debbie, but and Maddie floated around here, played with the dogs.
I don't want to shortchange that. Sorry, my tongue went numb from the frozen ice. Okay, so Chris Sterns is a real estate agent. I hear he used to be some kind of law enforcement, so he kind of speaks the lingo, it seems.
Did things that little girls do, what have you.
We did some arts and crafts together.
You were teaching her knitting,
Crocheting.
crocheting.
We're talking about
So that was
Maddie
going to be
being
my
with
next
her.
question. So Jen and Maddie and Stephan came here to visit
Yeah.
at some point, or a few times maybe.
Yeah, but if he was here, living here, she would actually come down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again, very few trips. The last trip we saw them was we didn't see them, I think we saw them early 2023 and then maybe for Thanksgiving 2022.
Okay.
Get better.
And then when they were here, you said Stephan and Jen would sleep in or would hang out in Stephan's room, and then Maddie would sleep with you, or be
Yeah.
with you. Okay. Why? Why is that? Do you know?
Number one, he's a slob. Number two, he only has a queen size bed.
Okay.
And number three, I didn't think it was a healthy environment. They were going to have her sleeping on the floor, on a sleeping bag. And I said, I have a king size bed. I sleep on 36 inches of it. There's a whole side of a bed. Why can't she be comfortable? So I just insisted that she come in with me. And I had the dogs with me. So if she got up, what Jen used to tell me was, you know, she would wake up in the middle of the night. She'd come and climb in bed with them. I said, well, you're going to have the dogs here. If you get out of bed, you're going to rouse the dogs up.
Honestly, the most appropriate of all circumstances, I think, would have been if you wanted them to come over and spend the weekend, then he would say, "Hey, you and your daughter take my room so you have privacy, then I'll sleep on the couch," or something like that. You don't make the 13-year-old girl lay on the ground. And I think what buddy, what keeps standing out in this, I'm gonna put you in bed. What keeps standing out in this case for me again and again, and I touched on this before, is that it's one of those circumstances where this little girl deserves so much more. And the parents just consistently made choices that were not in her best interest. And this is her, this beautiful little girl. They did not make choices in her best interest, didn't make sacrifices for her. They asked her to make a sacrifice every time. And I think the idea might have been, that's what kids do. You're not an adult. You haven't earned it yet. That's a pretty outdated attitude. Because if you know, that idea that, well, I did just fine, I would argue that neither of them are very fine. Right? So probably shouldn't be doing what worked just fine on that. But yeah, the most normal thing I've heard from this mom, Deb, so far is her instinct to say, "No, have her come sleep on the other side of my king size bed and be comfortable." No, it's a good environment. I would think that at this point, the mom should have some instinct and know what's up. That this would not be appropriate. I'm gonna put this little monster to bed while you guys what?
I got you.
You have the more
Did
fun.
they ever talk about their sleeping arrangements at their house in Kissimmee?
Just what I just told you, that if she had a bad dream or something, she would come in, and I told her, as Maddie got older, because we've known Maddie for 7 years, we've watched her grow up. I mean, this is very hard. But she, cute, sweet girl, she was. But then she started, in the last year, she started showing signs of bipolar as well. And Jen was horrified by that. They were butting heads like two rams. They were fighting all the time, and they're presenting a very different family dynamic than what they told us was going on.
And you witnessed them butting heads, or?
No, I would be on the phone with Steph, and I would hear them going at each other in the background. That's and I would say, "What's going on?" "Well, Maddie and Jenny are at it again, and I gotta go break this up." So he would go be the peacekeeper. But I just put that down to puberty. She went to puberty. She started puberty at 11.
Right.
It's hormones in me, but anyhow.
I missed a little of it,
She
but I'm not.
developed quickly, became pretty precocious, and other than that, I don't think she had a lot of friends at school. I don't think that she was a very social person. She had been, if you remember, Stephan and Jim both told us that after she began developing physically, that there were some boys at school last year that would push her up against the wall and grab a feel and bully her. And they were having a hard time with the school getting it stopped.
But anyway, when they visited here, she was either out here or they were watching movies together. But when it came to sleeping time, she was definitely in Deb's room.
I really don't like how this grandma, aged woman, seems to pick on Maddie a lot. Oh, she was bipolar. She was a 13-year-old girl being essayed by his son. She had a right to be moody. That would be a normal reaction. And if your parent, I mean, there's such a thing. You can't just diagnose a child, but you definitely don't diagnose a child bipolar. That's not heard of. That's not done. I'm not a psychologist, but I know that. And then you have to wait till adulthood, or at least some teenage years, because it's a brain process. And it has a lot to do with how the brain processes information, how it processes chemicals, and it's just not static yet or fully developed enough to be diagnosed that. Even when older, if you have a parent who's bipolar, as Jen is, you can be bipolar by proxy. So and that's behavioral and learned. So again, these guys are, I feel like very motherly at all. Even this woman, like she didn't have anything really motherly in her life.
Okay. Any time where either Jen and Maddie would be sleeping in that room without Stephan, or
No.
Okay, so the only person that would separate from them would be Maddie when she was sleeping with you.
And like I say, she was always floating around because she was bored looking for something
And
to do.
before that, as you see the holes, we had a TV
You knew her
there.
since she was 4.
Didn't have one in my
They'd
room
have
that
some
was
love for
big
her, but they don't
big,
seem
but
sad.
we moved that one, so I would sit out here with Maddie when they were in there, and we'd watch TV together too. We even got the Disney Channel for her, so she'd have it. And
Do you know if Maddie or Jen, when they were sleeping here, did they take medicine at night or anything like that you know of?
no,
Or did Stephan take any? Has he been prescribed any medication?
he has been prescribed an anti-anxiety medication and a ADHD medication. He's got Adderall and something clomidine, for sleeping. I don't know what the first part of it is, but
I really didn't know his medical routines at all.
I'm also not a doctor, but I can say that ADHD meds and anti-anxiety meds are contraindicated, meaning ADHD meds make anxiety worse typically, and anxiety meds you just don't want to mix with ADHD meds because one's an upper, one's downer. You don't be doing that. You typically shouldn't be getting prescriptions for both at once, or maybe you would be if you didn't have another controlled substance. That's just FYI, even in a liberal state like California.
Hers or Jen's, other than the fact that
She was always changing medications.
she was, I think, taking medication for depressant.
She just takes every opportunity to kind of snipe in, and she was this, and she was just typical kind of harpy is what I think of Deb.
And
Bipolar.
anxiety
Yeah.
and bipolar,
Women like
but I don't know anything beyond that.
She had a prescription for medical marijuana.
Medical marijuana.
And so she vaped all the time, and she shared it with Stephan. I wouldn't allow it in my house. I don't like the smell of it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you're going to do that, you have to be outside. You can't bring it in here.
Now, after Stephan moved back here in December and he made the trips back to Kissimmee, would he drive the silver car, your
That's
car?
the first time he ever drove
No,
that.
no. He drove the silver car
Oh, that's
because
right.
his car was in dire need of servicing. So I said, last thing I wanted to do is go 2 hours north and be stranded, and now I'm dealing with a disabled car. So I knew that car was up in maintenance, so I let him drive that car.
What's wrong with his car?
It's 1,000 miles over service. The brake jobs need to be done. He hasn't taken care of that car at all. It's probably going to need about $2,000 to $3,000 worth of repair on it, I'm sure, if I take it in.
he has his own car, so he has his own car, but he hasn't done any maintenance on it, and he ran it into the ground. So now he's borrowing his dad's car. So this guy, he has no ability to maintain anything, like Warhammer toys, I guess.
If I take it in, I'm sure it's going to be $2,000 to $3,000. AC was been acting up on it.
I take it in. They act as if he is a child, fully, not just an emotional child, but a child on every level. He's not working.
You know, I didn't trust it for long trips. If he was just commuting to, if he was in
Hey,
Pacific commuting to
Stardust, how's
Disney,
your
that's
day?
one thing, but not long trips.
Welcome.
Matter of
Glad
fact, I
you're
had
here.
him tow it down here, not drive it down.
Got it. So, is it safe to say this last time he came, and then maybe Thanksgiving or Christmas is when he took the silver car, or Thanksgiving?
So this last time, then he made it. When he came down here, he made a trip. When he first got down here, he made another trip back to get more stuff.
Hang on, guys. Hang on. We have a birthday girl here. Stardust Jam. I happen to know it is her birthday today. Sorry. Just outed you. Everybody, please wish her a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Stardust. Happy birthday.
Okay.
So that was one trip.
We're really happy that you're spending your time here with us tonight. All the things you could be doing on your birthday. We're happy you're here in the world, and we're happy you're with us. And happy you're safe. I know there's fires everywhere out in this area. California, Southern California is on fire. So be safe out there, all the Southern Californians.
Then there was the
Literally
trip
fires
in
everywhere.
between. I guess he went up for Christmas.
Sorry.
I think he was here for Thanksgiving. And then there was this most recent trip. So as far as I know, I think it was just 3 trips.
Now, when he would come back from there, would he have like loads of stuff? Like, I don't want to say furniture because there wasn't furniture.
It would just
but-
be leftover stuff that, for whatever reason, he had a 10-foot
I think they're trying to get at where did the money come from. Okay, I'm loosening up a little bit. Sorry, guys. I started stiff tonight.
truck,
Mhm.
and just the front end of it,
I'm glad y'all are
and
here.
all of the back was available.
So he rented a moving truck to grab.
I
it.
rented
it.
Okay.
It was more truck than he needed.
Uh-huh.
And why he didn't get everything he had was ridiculous, because basically they came down to his typical modus operandi. He waited till the last minute and then didn't have enough time to put stuff up there or whatever, but he didn't bring everything back with him.
Got it. Did he say why he didn't grab his stuff?
He didn't have to. Well, basically, if he did, it wasn't enough. He didn't have enough time. It's like bullshit.
Because he
I
didn't
need
actually want to leave
weeks
there. I
plan for
think he
this.
wanted to stay there.
You know, I kept on. And
Hey,
on.
so those of you who are
He's
just getting
completely
here, we're
absent.
watching.
It
We're
starts
watching an
organized
interview
stuff.
by Stephan Sterns' parents with detectives, and they're giving their take on him. And I have listened to a lot of this already, once through with Gavin Fisher, actually, Gavin Fisher. Anyway, go overhead and give him a like and a subscribe. He's really, he has a really like nice, even keel take on things, and I really like watching his coverage. He also makes a lot of documents and videos and things available to his followers for free, and does a lot of document FOIA requests and stuff. So
Get stuff done, not wait till the last minute, but he waited until the last minute. Very frustrating.
How long was he in Kissimmee when he made these trips?
Well, he stayed up there. If he went up there, he was up there for the day. Maybe he stayed up there a day or two.
Usually.
You know,
2 nights, 3
no
days.
rush to get back. No urgency to come back.
right.
This last time he went up here, or to Kissimmee, did he say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think he
Maddie
was
called and
asked
asked him to please
come.
come.
They're both talking.
And you heard
I-
Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And
All right,
do you remember when that was? Because
So
and may have spoke to
Oh shoot.
hear of something.
So they're saying Maddie called Stephan and invited him. We went back by accident. Let's go back.
Say why he was going to Kissimmee?
Her birthday.
Her birthday. Okay. Did he say he was invited to a party or anything like that, or?
I think he
Maddie
was
called and
asked
him to please come.
And you heard
I-
Maddie call? Okay.
Yes.
And yeah,
I'm sure she was probably quite attached to him because she would be pretty confused. She was probably very confused by what was going on. It's just a child, and she shouldn't have to work out what's going on and whether or not it's okay if it's happening with the adults in her life.
do you remember when that was? Because I know she had a party on Sunday. Do you know
Was
when?
it Saturday?
I guess.
Or was it?
To make sure he was coming.
Something odd on Saturday. I don't know if was the invite on Saturday?
No,
Or,
he
or
wasn't.
did he just say Sunday? I'm going.
Her family did not get along with him. They openly disapproved of him too, so he wasn't invited.
Kissimmee.
And Jen wasn't even
Well,
going, so why would he have gone?
I knew the week before because I found
Okay.
the gifts.
I mean, ideally, if he really was a step parent to her, right, they would respect that. If they were having a party for him, they would include him. But it sounds like he wasn't really that much, and I haven't seen anything about her parents to determine whether or not they were like welcoming normal people with normal judgment compared to these guys. Who knows, right?
For Maddie.
Nobody seems very
Okay.
in this whole thing.
He seemed to be very upset. Matter of fact, he came to me and said, "Do you have any anxiety medication?" I go, "No, sorry, don't have anything like that. Everything I have is for diabetes or heart." And then he went to Debbie and said, "I don't have any." And then he came back and said, "Well, I found some 4-year-old stuff." I said, "Oh, okay." But he was suffering from high anxiety, man. I don't know what he was stressed out about.
When was this?
Sometime in the evening. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Saturday.
days prior to that?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he's
Yeah,
making,
right.
and then I guess the medication worked, and again he looked like he was like very stressed out.
Have you ever seen him like that before?
Yes, when he was very stressed out. And
Saturday, that's before she went missing. Why is he stressing out like that when he's on his way to Kissimmee, if I understood that right? And is whatever was leading him to stress out, as they put it, the same reason he snapped, if that's what happened, and did what he did?
and it was like better tiptoe. I'm not sure if he's going to blow up or not.
And he has his parents tiptoeing.
You know, he seemed like he was calm enough, but I didn't know if anything could trigger him or not.
Is he?
Did it seem like he was more in
Did he
fear of
just yell?
something or scared of something or just
it was a different, other than, being really upset about something, it looked like he was stressed out over something. And obviously, he never shared any of his feelings with us.
Stressed out.
And I had no idea. That
What do
he
you
was
guys think? A night or two before the unaliving, and he's asking for anxiety medication. He's so stressed about something, and he's planning to go to a birthday party. Does that seem very odd to you?
stressing him out, but something really had him upset.
What had him
angry,
so
upset, or just not that type of upset?
Not angry, upset, but
Okay.
just something worrisome. Just seemed like there was something that was really preying on him, and it was not settling well with him.
Preying on him?
And that's
Interesting.
when he told you
His
guys he
word?
was going to Kissimmee, or did he tell mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and and I don't know exactly.
I feel like that's the most useful piece of information I got out of this. And again, when I listened to it before, I gotta admit, I listen to things like to have company in the room. I'm not always like actively listening like I am with you right now. This active presence is not something I do until I go with you guys. So yeah, I may have like played something, but I definitely didn't listen. Right? I'm listening with you. I think this is the most important thing that I've heard so far. This goes to his state of mind and what was going on and possible motive. Like, what if we can possibly try to understand what happened and why it might be rooted in why he was asking for anti-anxiety meds that day.
When this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but
like, did he have any spending money at all from like Social Security or ED or something like that? I wonder, because even though Jen's paying for the trip, he's still got to get there in Chris's car, right? So Chris is even paying for the gas. So he's just like a beggar kid, and I've heard him described as failure to launch, failure to thrive. The duck, that bird that won't jump out of the nest. But something important to remember, although he is just a horror of an outcome of a human, something that's important to remember as we try to have some empathy for every human and avoid dehumanizing them entirely in the process of the why and the what, is to just remember that at some point they were a kid who got made into what they became. And so this is an interesting sneak peek into, how do you become this way? Right.
Tell me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
Mm-hmm. But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say
What
how long
day
he
did
planned
Maddie
on staying
call?
in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was related to when he talked to her on the phone or any other call he got. They didn't quite connect that.
I was planning we were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Mm-hmm.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called Mermaid's Beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual color bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift. You know,
So was that maternal, or was that I don't want to give you money to buy her a gift? I can't decide. I think it was I don't want to give you money to buy
this
her a
is going to
gift.
sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. So just gave him the boxes and said, "Are you going to gift wrap them?" He said, "No, I'll just take them like this." So
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
So I tried reaching Stephan. He called me when he got to Kissimmee Sunday.
Any idea when he called you?
I know exactly because I wrote out the timeline this morning.
Okay.
6:48 p.m.
Okay.
But then I noticed on some pass that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were two some pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17, and his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, "Oh, by the way, I had a flat tire." Radar goes up. I go, "What do you mean you had a flat tire?
Dad knows
Where
his
could you have
high.
gotten a flat tire?" Now, I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else, per se. "Oh, I just got a flat tire." "Okay, where?" 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes, and I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. And I'm sitting there counting, it's going to cost me several $100s for this now. And then that was it. And then 4:54, I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer, I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls.
So just to be clear, the dad was suspicious at go when Stephan tried to explain why he had to have both tires completely shredded and why he couldn't find a reasonable place to stop. Didn't make sense at all. So yeah, that was a bad angle.
And he
They'll
says,
plot out.
I'm en route to
Plot out.
Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon. The flat tire, and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just down from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because
Something ain't
I'm not
right.
driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well,
We
I
did see
understand
pictures of
Teenage
that
peer
car.
pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched
Understand
her walk
Disgusting.
towards the school out of the rearview mirror as I pulled away.
Sure.
And so then he goes on to describe that she
Gravel.
wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school late. We went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking, and that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. You know, typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation, the whole deal.
What a weird feeling that
And
must
so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news,
that your
any
kid
news.
is
And then
rehearsing the routine on you that they're going to use on the cops to see, are they buying it? Are they buying it? Right? I don't know why I got cold all at once. It's been like brutally hot out here. Brutally hot. So weird. But anyways.
that was it until Tuesday. And then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday. Maybe it was the afternoon.
So this will be a two-parter.
Again, just trying to get an update. What's going on? And then as the day expanded, then police were now more involved, and there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did it call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all of that. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jen had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, hanging out. And so we just watch. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several times. And so I don't know if, do you want any conjecture or no? The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. That she wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at the church in the picture. Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit.
There we go. That's better.
Well, I think we lost
That's
spot.
right. Maddie always slept with Debbie. I don't know.
Oh, Saturday or
Plans were submitted. So I tried reaching Stephan. He called. Okay, 192. Plenty of places to pull over.
Kissimmee, or did he tell Mom prior to that?
Well, he was making plans to go to Kissimmee, and and I don't know exactly when this happened, whether he told me on Saturday, but I knew he was leaving Sunday because we talked about the expense of that trip, and he said, well, Jen's going to pay for the trip, because I was done paying for this stuff. And he said, well, Jen's going to pay for it. I said, well, go down and fill up the car, and I'll take care of that. That would be enough gas for him to get up and get back, because that's all he was going to do. And so I'm assuming that the plans were submitted on Saturday, but you're telling me that you knew about it a week in advance, and maybe he started planning that a week in advance, but I wasn't aware of it until the last minute.
But he didn't have this fearful reaction earlier that week. It was just that Saturday.
Yeah.
Did he say how long he planned on staying in Kissimmee?
A week.
A week.
Yeah. I was planning we were planning on him to be gone for a week because we were welcoming the break.
Got it.
What did you buy her as a gift? You said you got her a gift?
I had ordered something, and they looked marvelous, but then I got it, and I think this is really probably too juvenile for me to wear. It's called mermaid's beads, and it's made out of sea glass, and it was a dual color bracelet, and they had the stud earrings and the same thing, and they were kind of opalescent. So they're really neat. It's by No Goo, and it's mermaid tears. But I said, these are still in the box. I've never even worn them. I said, why spend money on something? This is something she would really like, because I knew her enough to know this was something right up her alley. And I said, this is $90 worth of a gift, that's just going to sit where it could be doing good someplace, somebody could enjoy it. So just gave him the boxes and said, are you going to gift wrap them? He said, no, I'll just take them like this. So.
How did you guys come to hear about everything that happened on Monday?
But then I noticed on some paths that he was out around 8:30, 8:48, and there were 2 sun pass tolls. And I said, well, maybe they had gone out or something. But I said, okay, that's a little weird. So that I tried to get a hold of him several times Monday morning, or maybe noonish or so, maybe as late as 2:30ish or something, and then I get a call from him at 3:17, and his voice sounded a little off to me. I thought, well, maybe he was just tired, and then maybe he didn't get a good night's sleep or what have you. And then during that conversation, he says, "Oh, by the way, I had a flat tire." Radar goes up. I go, "What do you mean you had a flat tire? Where could you have gotten a flat tire?" And I'm not going to say you can't pick up a flat tire anywhere, but he's just driving from here to the apartment and shouldn't be driving anywhere else per se. Oh, I just got a flat tire. Okay, where? 192. And then he described the fact that the tire was so flat that he ran the rubber off the wheel. Okay, 192, plenty of places to pull over, and you're driving the rubber off the wheel? So then he described that he was changing the tire and that didn't have it set right, and the jack collapsed somewhat and trapped his thumb between the frame and the jack and did hurt himself severely. And I think the conversation lasted about 3 minutes. And I said, well, let's get the car into a tire place and see what's going to cost to repair it. And I'm sitting there counting, it's going to cost me several $100s for this now. And then that was it. And then 4:54, I'm just getting out of the car, meeting a customer. I'm going to take him into a house, and he calls, and he says, I'm en route to Maddie's grandmother. There's been an occurrence. I said, well, that's a strange word to use, but okay. And then I'm thinking, well, this is weird. 2 events in one afternoon: the flat tire and now this. And so he said, well, I took Maddie to school this morning, and I dropped her off just out from the school because Maddie didn't want to be seen dropped off in front of the school because I'm not driving a cool enough car. I said, okay, well, understand that, teenager, peer pressure, what have you. And he said, I watched her walk towards the school out of the rearview mirror as I pulled away. And so then he goes on to describe that she wasn't, it's been reported that she wasn't at school. Like, we went to pick her up, and she wasn't there. Then we come to find out she had been at school all day. And then he starts to describe that the area is a high abduction area. Kids are stolen for, abducted, kidnapped for sex trafficking. And that there's a good chance that she's been abducted. The typical questions. Well, what have you done to try to locate her? Have you contacted her old friends, social media? Where's her phone? Oh, she left her phone at home. Oh, okay. Yeah, she does that from time to time. And it was a 3-minute conversation, and he was sobbing. He was really sounded upset that he was holding himself responsible for this. Same routine that he did in that Tuesday interview. I think he was rehearsing it on me. And it was exactly the same routine, same explanation the whole time.
Powerful.
And so then I kept in touch with them throughout the evening because they were waiting for police to show up, and it was hours, and I just kept checking in, any news, and then that was it until Tuesday, and then I didn't talk to him again until Tuesday. Maybe it was the afternoon, and again, just trying to get an update, what's going on. And then as the day expanded, then police were now more involved, and there's interaction between, I guess, your department and the two of them.
Backtracking to Monday, so you talked to him, you said you tried calling him. When you tried calling him, did it call go right to voicemail, or did it ring a few times?
Combination of all. I mean, let me get my notepad.
And by the way, Jen had mentioned several times that Maddie was going through a phase where she didn't want to look uncool, and that it had become their routine to drop her off 1 block from school and pick her up 1 block from school.
And she told you this?
Yes. And never said anything about it being a high traffic area or anything like that. She just said, it's a straight shot. We can see the school. There's an overpass. We make sure nobody's in the overpass, hanging out. And so we just watch. And then Stephan said he took her by himself. And then in the interview, Jen said, we dropped him off. She said it several times. And so I don't know if, do you want any conjecture or no? The conjecture is that she and Maddie are the same size. That she wore Maddie's clothes with the hoodie up to cover the dark hair instead of the light hair. And that was Jen we saw sitting at the church in the picture. Because obviously, from what we've heard, Maddie was already gone by that time. So this elaborate charade put on for everybody's benefit. And she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's a sobbing, wet mess.
So my call to him at 2:25 was 2 seconds, so no connection.
Gotcha.
And then he called me at 3:17, and that conversation lasted 3 minutes.
And you said he was upset at that time, or he seemed?
No, he seemed off, and I said, well, maybe the anxiety medications or what have you was keeping him somewhat kind of flat, monotone in a way. Nothing upbeat about it. And then, matter of factly, I had a flat tire. We talked about that, and then.
Did he plan on taking the car to a tire shop? Did you guys confirm that plan? Or
I told him to. I said, he's driving on a donut. And we both confirmed that, the donut wouldn't last long, and that, he needed to get that quickly replaced. And I expected him to do it. I didn't expect for him to do it that day, because that's not Stephan's modus operandi. I expected him to do it the next day. So then I didn't hear from him until he called me at 4:54. And that conversation lasted 3 minutes. And as I said, I heard this story about him dropping her off at school and the whole abduction thing, and I heard that even more later in the evening. But I thought to myself, how strange these two events happened, and within a short time of one another that afternoon.
Did you question him about it? Or no?
No, I didn't think about it. When the call came in, he starts telling me that this is just a thought I had. It's kind of strange that coincidence that there were two incidents like that in that afternoon.
Okay. So moving on, you spoke to him around 4-ish, and that's when he said Maddie's gone missing.
Yeah, more close to 5.
Okay. And then you didn't speak to him again until the following day, is that
No,
correct?
I talked to him for 7 minutes at 6:02.
Okay.
6:02, and then again for 5 minutes at 6:22.
And is that just to get updates, or
Yeah.
what's the conversation you're having?
Well,
with him
it was
during
me
that time?
he called me at 6:02, and again, just briefing
Daddy
me,
Sterns has
letting
his
me know what's
records
going
locked
on.
down.
There was an out call at 2 minutes at 6:18, and then another one at 6:22 for 5 minutes, and both of those I was making the calls. And then nothing again until Tuesday at 12:16, 3 seconds there, and then out at 6:32, 1 minute. I'm not even sure if we had even a conversation. So that was, and then after that, no more calls from his phone. Now Jen's calling me on her phone.
Okay. Did they tell you why?
There was a conversation about whether the police wanted his phone and whether he should give it to him. And I said, "Do you have any reason not to?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Then give me your phone. Let's get this cleared up." You know, what really upset me was in one of the conversations I had with him when it became apparent that he was going to be a person of interest. I said, "Well, you had your phone. You can document where you've been." "Well, I left my phone at home."
So trying to be a civil man.
Okay. Let's backtrack. Were you anywhere that a camera could have caught you? Where'd you go? And it didn't sound like he went anywhere that a camera could track him in. So I said, well,
The vape store.
I understand that, but I'm not sure, where a camera would have been. But, thinking he was innocent, trying to help, pinpoint where he was so he could document his whereabouts, because of my understanding, there was a 2-hour gap between when he supposedly dropped her off
Stop.
and then when he returned home, because he said he called Jen at 10:17. And in fact, my understanding why he called Jen at 10:17 was to get back into the community because she had to call him in. He didn't have his clicker.
Okay. Is he tech savvy?
My impression, no, but I'm hearing, hearsay from other people that he may have been. But when he told me that he was doing a OS update on his phone and it accidentally wiped out his phone, I cried bullshit. But there's always that one off. It could be, but when he starts saying, "Well, yeah, I accidentally pressed the button to reset it," then I knew it was bullshit. That's not in the process of an OS update. You just say, "Yes, go ahead and do it," and you leave it alone, and it updates it and lets you know that your phone's been updated. End of story. None of this other bullshit.
Do you pay for his phone, or does he pay for his
I
phone?
pay for it.
You pay.
Did you want this coffee?
Yeah, would you put some cream in it? Blonde like you, and duke it in the microwave for 38 seconds.
How did you get to Kissimmee? Like, what made you go to Kissimmee?
Okay, so I got a call. I got a call at 9:30, and then I think that's when that discussion took place about whether to give this phone to the police or not. I said, "You haven't got any issue with it? Give him the phone. Give him the phone." And then I got a call. And then I went to bed. I was 10-ish something. I'm all tucked into bed. I got the boys with me. And I may have been partially asleep because I had my phone on silent. And then I woke up because the phone was vibrating. And then my watch would have been in the office. So the phone was vibrating. By the time I got it, there was no connect. So then that was at 10:42. And then I made an out call at 10:43. And then the conversation was about, you need to come up here.
And who says that?
They both did because they were on speaker.
Okay.
And Stephan said, "Hey, you need to come up here." And I said, "Okay." I said, so we discussed, they were being kicked out. They didn't have a place to stay. So I said, "Well, we need to figure out where to go for, where to stay and what have you." And so I'm jumping in the shower, packing a bag, talking to Deb, making plans to leave, and which I did it just after midnight. I tried to make a call to them at 11:56. It went to voicemail, and then I called her back at, now we're into Wednesday, so I called her back at 12 to let them know I was on my way. And then I also called my wife because when I left, the front door, if you notice, has an electronic keypad on it. That's why I think it's great.
No,
okay,
thank you.
It wasn't working, and it's been it's electronic, and it's batteries in there since the day we moved here, so 4 years old. So when I tried to lock it, it's not flashing or anything. I did get it to lock, but I wanted her to know that, hey, if you go out, you're going to have to come back in through the garage door, and the only way to do that if you had a clicker in your remote in your visor, but you weren't going to be able to get in through the front door. And then I got a call from them at 1:18, lasted for 2 minutes, and then at 1:51, 50 seconds, because I arrived at the hotel.
What were the conversation at the 118 area? What was that conversation about?
Just confirmation of where they were and where we were staying and the address of the hotel, because it was out off of west of Disney off the 429.
And from what I understand, did you pay for the hotel or did they pay for it?
They paid for theirs, and I paid for mine, but then it said a pet-friendly hotel, pet-friendly if you pay $150 for the night. Okay, so, all right, so I paid for the dog to stay.
Okay, their dog.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually reimbursed her for it.
All right, and when you got to the hotel, you had conversations with Jen and Stephan, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we were just greeting.
Okay. I know a lot of you are just joining because the debate just ended, but I am ready to fall asleep. So I think that's a good place to cut it off here for part 1 and pick up and do a part 2 later. So I don't just fall straight asleep on you like this and start snoring into the microphone. That would be rude. Anyways, let's pick this up. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the night after, we'll see. And I'll put it up and I'll see you there. Thanks for coming. Make sure if you have not, you are liked and subscribed, and see you around the next time. Stay salty.